looks like we can turn here and we'll get our full-blown acceleration. Oh, never mind. Wait for this F-150 to pull out. Now we'll get our full-blown acceleration. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2022 Jeep Wagoneer. First and foremost, so a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, Utah for giving me some time with this Wagoneer. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below. Check them out. This one is actually still available for sale if you're interested as well, and let's get into the video. Now under the hood we have a naturally aspirated 5.7 liter Hemi V8 that's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission and the e-torque system. Fuel economy is 15 around town and then 20 on the highway, with power outputs being 392 horsepower and then 404 pound-feet of torque, which I think the horsepower figure is kind of funny because the engine in the Grand Wagoneer is the 6.4 Hemi, aka the 392 V8. But anyways, that's under the hood. Now let's go over the front end of the Wagoneer. So first off, we have the Wagoneer badge there on the front end to let everyone know that you've got the Wagoneer. And then this white paint kind of hides the body lines a little bit, but you can see here on the hood, they look very nice. And then coming down below, we actually have these projector bulbs with the LED accent light just up above. Now, by the way, the LED accent light does not flicker in real life. That's just because the frame rate of the camera. Now, something cool that I think is you have Jeep Performance LED written on the light itself, so that is pretty neat. And then you have Jeep's signature front grille, and I love the fit and finish here on the grille. I think it looks really nice. And then you can see that metallic trim is just down below and kind of goes around the bottom portion as well. Parking sensors are integrated here into the front, and overall it's just a really good looking vehicle from a front end perspective. Coming around the side here, we've got two 75mm tires wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then as for the design on the wheels, I think they actually look really good. These remind me of some wheels that you have on like the Dodge Challenger, which is not a bad thing because I love the wheel designs they do with those. Anyways, here's a quick look at what you can see of the front suspension. And then something that I really like is that they actually painted the fender flares. It gives it kind of like a nice upscale look, and they did the two-tone look because the fender flares are different color than the rest of the Wagoneer, but instead of just doing, you know, plastic cladding here, again, they painted it, so I think it looks really good. You have your Wagoneer badge right there. You've got the side steps here along the side. Notice the mirrors are two-tone, and then notice how you have the trim there around the windows, but here is your full side view. And something that I've noticed that's kind of interesting about the Wagoneer from the side that always kind of trips me up is the fact that the trim here is body painted and how they like did the door panel and everything here, and so each individual window is like completely separate aesthetically. Most car manufacturers will make this all black so it's all in a line, whereas this, notice how it's like portholes on a boat basically. I think it's interesting. Now here's our key fob for the Wagoneer. Notice how we have the Wagoneer logo there on the back. You've got your unlock, lock, remote start, and then the opening here for the rear hatch, and then the alarm. So press that twice, and then that will pop open the rear hatch itself, which yeah, opens up pretty quick. So before we go over everything in the rear, let's talk about capability. We have a payload capacity of 1,610 pounds, towing capacity up to 10,000 pounds. It says with two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. Pretty interesting stuff, but super capable. Anyways, we have the 12 volts right here. Carpeting feels very nice in the back. And then you can see the storage space under there, and then notice how that holds itself. That's another nice feature. And this is just to pop down the rear hatch. And then you have the third row, which you can fold down if you'd like. But anyways, we're just gonna press that. And then it has the hold to set button. So if you don't want this to open up as far as what the max height is, then you can do that with the rear hatch. Now let's finish things up here in the rear. So I love the metallic trim there at the top. And then you can see the taillights here, very distinctive. I like how they have the blacked out trim there off to the side. But notice how they have the metallic trim here at the top of it. It's kind of like a brushed aluminum look. And then you've got the Wagoneer logo right there. Notice how we have the Quadra Track badge here at the bottom. And then on the other side, you can see it says Series 2 because this is a Series 2 Wagoneer. Parking sensors are integrated here on the bottom. You've got the bezel covering the receiver hitch, and yeah, overall it's good looking from the back end. Now here's our door panel in the rear. So first off, you actually get padding here at the top, wood trim down below. It's got a high gloss finish. And then you've got the leather here, which is definitely nicer than what you have there at the very top of the door panel. Notice the stitching there is really beautiful. You've got the window control right here, and then notice the trim all around there. Alpine sound system comes with this. Again, we've got the running boards that help getting in and out, make it a little bit easier. And then notice the seats here. So again, you've got the leather, perforated leather here in the center. Looks really nice. And notice that you can press this button right here, and it'll basically throw the seats forward, so then it makes accessing the third row a little bit easier. Obviously there's a little bit of stuff here in front of the seat, so it's getting in the way of the seat, but normally it just like pops right forward. So I'll move the stuff out of the way, and then we'll pop in the third row. Now I've got the seat moved forward, and again, notice the side step makes getting in very easy, and I'll just step here in the center. Got my Leatherman slippers on today. You guys can see out, so I'll just put my legs right here at the most like cramped position, even though you could have more room than that hypothetically, but this is if the seats moved all the way back. I fit back here, and then notice you got some USBs here, got a cup holder, and then I like this, how they've done this with the vent. Notice how the trim like connects into it. Headroom's great. Yeah, like I fit back here very comfortably. These seats are very comfortable here in the rear. This is one of the few vehicles that I will say that you could fit adults back here comfortably for a long trip. That is for sure. They did a really good job with the space. But anyways, let's pop back to the second row. Now popping into the second row. Boom, legroom is great. I love the wood trim here at the top. We have our own climate controls here, and we have a bunch of charging ports just down below. Definitely nice to have. And then notice here we've got back seat storage, and then we actually get a cup holder armrest system, and it's very comfortable back here, like tons of space. But let's head to the front. Now here's a door panel at the front, so again you can see that the theme continues with the padding and then the wood trim and then the leather trim just down below. All of our window controls right here. We've got our memory seats. We have the mirrors that have blind spot monitoring, and then again another speaker there for the Alpine sound system. And then here's the seat at the front, so again you've got the leather trim, perforated leather here in the center, and then really nice bolsters here on the side. Adjustments there on the side of the seat, pedals down below. Got a parking brake right here. You've got the light control there with the fog lights integrated into it as well. You've got your adjustments for the pedals. You've got the steering wheel adjustment, which is automatic, and there's where we're looking for. We pop in. So here's our steering wheel in the Wagoneer. You've got beautiful leather all around the steering wheel. Notice we have the gear limiter right here. We have our cruise control with the adaptive cruise control as well. Got the Wagoneer logo there on the center. Beautiful wood trim, similar to what you have on the door panel. We've got our controls for the center stack phone controls. Got our turn signal stock, got our windshield wiper stock, and I actually really like the look of the steering wheel. It's pretty cool. Now here's the center gauge cluster. There's a bunch of different screens you can scroll through to basically give you different bits of information on the vehicle, so you can see everything that's happened right here. So we're in auto mode, for example, right now. We do have some different drive modes. We have a sport mode, which notice it puts the checkered flag below it. And I think it might have a valved exhaust. Sounds like it was almost louder in sport mode. Maybe I'm crazy. Probably going crazy. Got a snow mode as well. Got a sand and mud mode. But yeah. That's everything for the drive modes, and I think overall having the full digital gauge cluster definitely works here with the Wagoneer. I think it looks great, and you guys can see vehicle information. I think having this setup, I think this is what I like, because that looks really cool. Now let's go over the center infotainment system. First off, we're going to pop it into reverse. You can see we've got the backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and then we do have the zoom function there as well. Resolution is really good. And then aside from that, something that's pretty cool is you have this tab up here you can press for the climate zone. So this has the dual zone here for the front, but also we have heated seats, heated steering wheel, and then air conditioned seats as well. So that's definitely nice. And then you can go to the comfort tab. It's going to be press that at the bottom, and then this whole system will pop up. And then this does come with built-in navigation as well. It does take a second for it to load up, but the response time on the screen itself is very good. And then we have our vehicle tab, which is important, right? So you can actually fold down the headrests in the second and third row. So if your kids are being annoying in the second row, well-bam. Third row, well-bam. Boom. Problem solved. Kids won't be annoying anymore. All jokes aside, I think that's great, because if you don't have anyone in the car and you just need that extra visibility, you can just press the button instead of having to go and manually fold all of them down. So that's definitely nice. Now we have the analog climate controls down here, and then I love how the recirculate button is actually a Wagoneer. And then notice we have this trim piece right here that kind of covers this storage space down here, which has a wireless phone charger. It goes in pretty deep. You can see there's some USBs there at the bottom, and there is a 12 volt down there. Again, really deep. And then notice we got the auto stop start here, the lane departure, stability control, hazard lights, parking sensors, tow haul mode, and then mute. We've got our drive mode select right here. We've got the dial shifter, which looks and feels very premium. We have some more cup holders right here, which you can cover up with that wood trim. We have the center console, which again is absolutely enormous. There's tons of storage space in here. And then notice you got really nice leather here, and then all along here, and then the wood trim here in the center. And then notice here with this piece that you can actually slide it open, and you have more storage space on top of the center console, because you can never have enough storage space. Anyways, we have the glove box here lined with felt, more wood trim, and then padding all over the dash with the stitching and everything. Looks really nice. Finishing things up top, we got the universal garage door opener. We have this for the rear hatch, and then you can see the light controller here. All black headliner, and yeah, that's all for the top. Now here's the window sticker. Sorry, there's a ton of glare, so it's kind of hard to see things, but this actually doesn't have any options added to it. It's just a Series 2 with no options added, so total MSRP is $73,845, and wait for it, pretty big vehicle. Let's take it out and see how it drives. That's a cool animation. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the Wagoneer. So first off, you can see visibility of the hood. Both the mirrors, again, they've got blind spot, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And with all that being said, let's set off. So setting off here in the Wagoneer, and this is my first time driving a full production version of the Wagoneer or the Grand Wagoneer. So I'll be interested to see how this feels compared to the pre-production vehicle that I drove. I have a feeling that this is just going to drive nicer. Pre-production vehicles are great, but it's different than a full production unit, right? First off, ride quality with this is really good. It's very smooth. It's very quiet as well. Going over bumps doesn't upset it. Yeah, it's really comfortable. I like it a lot. Yeah, so ride quality is great. Super quiet. Like almost can't hear anything on the outside. That's pretty unique. That is pretty unique. I like that a lot. Other than that, yeah, it's a pretty interesting experience. It's super quiet in here. Kind of get moving here a little bit and see what it's like here. See if we can hear any road noise or anything. Hemi sounds good. Yeah, it's just really smooth. It's just I feel like I'm in a luxury car. Really do. I feel like I'm just cruising around in a luxury car. Going over this stuff. Oh yeah. They nailed it with the suspension. That person's tailgate just flew open. Oh boy. Well, glad we were following at a safe distance so that we didn't have to worry about running over anything falling out of that person's tailgate. So good job for that. We'll see what turn in is like coming up to here. First we got to do the brakes, of course. Yeah, braking's really good as well. Okay, so moving up here a little bit. Yeah, just doing partial throttle, it's really comfortable. Braking on this is like, it's got like a firmness to it, which I really like. It actually stops really well. I didn't think that the brakes were going to be this good because, again, this is built off of the 1500 platform. And so trucks, right, they can stop, but they're not quite on the same level as like a vehicle, like a regular car. This, however, I feel like it stops like a regular vehicle, which you don't necessarily get with the competition. They kind of have more of like truck-like braking. If you've driven a truck, you know what I'm talking about, where it just kind of you stop, but you don't quite stop as much as you would like. Basically, it's the best way to put it. But looks like we can turn here and we'll get our full-blown accelerate. Oh, never mind. Wait for this F-150 to pull out. Now we'll get our full-blown acceleration. Smooth, really smooth with the power delivery. Yeah, Jeep's done a really good job with that. Gonna kind of slow down. It doesn't look like there's anyone too close to me. Yeah, Jeep has done a really good job with this. This definitely feels, I will say, this feels a lot nicer than the pre-production car. I can tell you that. Everything just feels tighter, which again makes sense because pre-production vehicles. But let's quickly sum things up and give this a score. So first off, exterior wise, It looks like a Wagoneer. I think the front end is probably the best looking parts. The back end looks pretty good, but the front end I think looks a little bit better if you ask me. Interior wise, for $70,000 full-size SUV, I think this looks really good with the interior. So I think they've done a good job for this price point, especially the touch points like the steering wheel, the shifter, the controls for the infotainment system. All that, it feels very premium. So they've done a really good job with the interior. And then from a driving perspective, it's smooth, it's comfortable. It feels like a luxury vehicle. Really does feel like a luxury vehicle. So yeah, compared to Tahoe, and so Tahoe is going to be competing against this, I guess Suburban technically as well, and then you have like the GMC Yukon. Man, I would rather have, and then also can't forget about the not the Navigator but the Expedition. I'd rather have this. I love the sound of the Hemi. I love the feel of this interior wise. It feels very luxurious, and yeah, it just, you got to drive one to fully understand. Just Jeep has nailed it. This feels like a really nice luxury vehicle in a segment that's not technically luxury. So yeah, if you're looking for a full-size SUV, check out the new Wagoneer. Now that's going to sum things up for our video on this 2022 Jeep Wagoneer. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, Utah for giving me some time with this Wagoneer. Check out the inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.